The Vitality Research Institute is our dedicated research unit looking at the science of behaviour change and advancing that both from the perspective of the core research as well as the practical implications of those research for individuals, for businesses and for society at large. The Vitality Research Institute's first paper is focused on the difference between lifespan, which is the total number of years lived, and healthspan, which is the number of years lived in good health, and looking at the gap between those two. What we're finding, sadly, is that people are increasingly living longer in poorer health. So on average in the UK, individuals are living for 12 years in poor health. That's a 14% increase since 1990 alone. What the paper looks at is some of the causes of this. So in particular, looking at the increasing prevalence of chronic disease, including in the younger age groups. But it also then looks at what we can do to change that, to reduce the number of years people are living in poor health. And that's really focused on looking at preventative actions that can be taken. And these are different preventative actions at different stages in life, and also then incentivizing those healthy behaviours that people take up. So on a national level, this means that if we could actually reduce the prevalence of these preventative diseases by just 10%, we'd actually save nearly 750,000 years in poor health. So that would be the equivalent of 750,000 people getting an extra year of good health, and that would be every year. So some of the core reasons driving this gap between lifespan, the total number of years lived, and healthspan, the number of years lived in good health, are really around chronic diseases and, by and large, preventable diseases. So the ones that we hear a lot about are things like diabetes, high blood pressure, but the ones that we don't hear so much about that have driven a huge amount of the increase of the gap are ones that we would call diseases of modern living, like mental health and musculoskeletal issues. These are two areas that are very preventable, very manageable, but driving this big increase in the number of years that individuals are living in poor health as opposed to good health. So the critical thing for employers when it comes to this issue is that these years lived in poor health can often be working years, which has significant impact on the productivity of their workforce, both from the perspective of absenteeism, they may simply not be able to work, or presenteeism, which is being at work but unable to really work to the fullest of your productivity. And what we've really seen is that employers that do invest in workplace well-being programs that are well structured, well evaluated, they can see significant benefits to their workforce in these productivity measures, as well as employee satisfaction and the enjoyment that individuals are getting out of work because they're not living these years in poor health. So for an individual to improve their health span, it's all around living as long as you can with healthy behaviours. So when I say healthy behaviours, I mean improving the amount of physical activity you do, improving your nutrition, looking at some of the key factors like your weight, your blood glucose level, your blood cholesterol level. So for example, a woman in her 30s, in moderate health, in average health, by increasing her physical activity, improving her nutrition, and managing her weight, can actually live 3 extra years in good health than she would have done otherwise. And physical activity is probably the most accessible of those. You know, really it doesn't matter if you walk, you run, you go to a gym, you bike, whatever you do, it's good. And doing more of it's always going to improve your health. So that's probably the most accessible way of improving your health span.